Dear students, hope you are in good health. My name is Mudassar Abbas and I am lecturer at Institute of Business Studies, Guwahati University of Science and Technology. My area of specialization is human resource management. This is the subject of Principles of Management with a course code of BS 121. This chapter is number 10 with the title of Organizational Structure and Design. Okay, before going into the detail of the lesson, let me share with you two reference books that you can use as a reference. These books are easily available in the market and you can also download them from internet for free. The first book is Principles of Management and its Application. That is written by Ricky W. Griffin. You can download any edition of this. We have 10th edition and onward. The second book is Management by Stephen P. Robbins and Mary Coulter. So you can download any of this book and make it as a reference book. Both books are very readers friendly. Okay, in this chapter we will attempt to define the organizational culture and design, explain why structure and designs are important, describe the 6 key elements of organizational structure, define and differentiate between mechanistic and organic organizational design. We will also attempt to identify the 4 contingency factors that influence the organizational design. We will also have a discussion on what is simple structure, the functional structure and the divisional structure. We'll also explain the team-based structures, matrix structures, project structures, autonomous internal units and boundaryless organizations. We will also explain the concept of learning organization and how it influences the organizational design. Sometimes, although it happens rarely, where people get confused and they need to know who their boss is. That's what the chain of command is all about. The chain of command is the line of authority extending from upper organizational levels to lower levels, which clarify who reports to whom. Managers need to understand it when organizing work because it helps employees with the questions such as who do I report to or who do I go for if I have a problem. To understand the chain of command, we have to understand 3 other important concepts. These are authority, responsibility, and unity of command. Okay, first let's talk about authority. Authority was a major concept discussed by the early management scholars. They viewed it as the glue that held the organization together. Authority refers to the rights inherent in a managerial position to tell people what to do and to expect them to do it. Managers in a certain chain of command had the authority to do their jobs of coordinating and overseeing the work of others. Authority could be delegated downward to the lower level managers, giving them certain rights while also prescribing certain limits within which to operate. Responsibility. When managers use their authority to assign work to employees, those employees take it as an obligation to perform those assigned duties. This obligation or expectation to perform is known as responsibility, and employees should be held accountable for their performance. Assigning work authority without responsibility and accountability can create opportunities for abuse. Likewise, no one should be held responsible or accountable for the tasks over which he or she has no authority to complete those tasks. The unity of the command is one of the 14 principles of Henry Fayol, which we studied in our earlier lectures. It states that a person should report only to one manager. Without unity of command, conflicting demand from multiple bosses may create problems. However, these concepts are less relevant today due to the changes or advancements in the information technology and employee empowerment. So, another question that may come into your mind is how many employees can a manager efficiently and effectively manage? That is what span of control is all about. The traditional view was that managers could not and should not directly supervise more than 5 or 6 subordinates. Determining the span of control is important because to a large degree it determines the number of levels and managers in the organization, an important consideration in how efficient an organization will be. All other things being equal, the wider or larger the span, the more efficient an organization will be. Appropriate span is influenced by the following: the skills and abilities of the employee, the complexity of tasks performed, the availability of standardized procedures, and the sophistication of organization's information system. Here is an illustration of the wider and narrower span of control. You can see that here the span is 4 and there are more than 4,000 operatives, while the levels are 1 to 6. But in the other diagram here, the span is 8. The level of operatives is same as that of the first one, that are more than 4,000, but managerial levels are from 1 to 4. Okay, one of the other question that needs to be answered is, when organizing is, at what organizational level decisions should be made? Centralization is the degree to which decision making takes place at upper level of the organization. If the top managers make key decisions with little input from the lower level employees, then the organization is said to be more centralized. On the other hand, the more that the lower level employees provide input or actually make a decision, the more decentralized the organization is. There is a distinct trend towards decentralized decision making when the degree to which the employees take part in decision making is high. Keep in mind that the centralization and decentralization is not an either or concept. The decision is relative, not absolute, which means that an organization is never completely centralized or decentralized. In contemporary organizations, managers often choose the amount of centralization and decentralization that will allow them to best implement their decisions and achieve organizational objectives. What works in one organization, however, won't necessarily work in other organizations. So managers must determine the appropriate amount of centralization level for each organization and work units within them. Now let's discuss the factors that influences the centralization and decentralization amount in the organization. On the left side we have the factors for more centralized organization, while on right side we have the factors for more decentralized organization. First one, in centralized organization, the factors include environment is stable. That means there is no significant change in the environment. While on other hand, in decentralization, environment is complex and it is uncertain. That means that environment is unpredictable. In centralization, lower level managers are not as capable or experienced at making decisions as upper level managers. That means there is a lack of experience in lower level managers in decision making process. While in decentralization, lower level managers are capable and experienced at decision making. In centralization, lower level managers do not want to have a say in the decision, while in decentralization, lower level managers want a voice or a say in the decision making. In centralization, decisions are significant. That means these decisions will have a strategic impact on the organization, while in decentralizations, decisions are relatively minor or not that much important. In centralization, organization is facing a crisis or the risk of failure of the company. That means the situation is quite critical. In decentralization, corporate culture is open to allow managers to have a say in what happens. In centralization, the company is large. The company is large in size. In decentralization, the company is geographically dispersed. That means the company is not located at one single territory. In centralization, effective implementation of the company strategies depends on managers retaining say over what happens, while in decentralization, effective implementation of the company strategies depends on managers having involvement and flexibility to make decisions. So you can see these factors actually decides about the amount of centralization or decentralization that a company will adopt.